Aloha kakayaka means good morning to you, and I hope everybody is having a be kind day. So this is coming up pretty soon is the new moon. And the new moon for this time is really about pivotal changes that's going to happen. And so just a brief summary about moon and how and what is related. The new moon is when you set your intention, and in between you have the time to execute it, put it into motion, put it into play. And the full moon, which is coming up for us, is called the flower moon. And so May is all about really planting your seed and getting grounded. Getting grounded to really start your plan for the next 20 years. When you think back, way back, what happened to you? And this is one of the exercises I do for my brains, for my mind, for my soul. And so this is a time when you're going to start to bring in a lot of healing energy within yourself, because you got to get ready. And maybe that's why, if you think what happened to us last year is to get hygienically prepared. Because in the last 20 years, look what happened. Look what happened to Mother Nature, Mother Earth. I mean, it's just, and it would start to heal back when we were taken back, put on time out. And we learned certain etiquettes, like washing your hand, respecting each other's distance, boundaries, their belief. You know, when you break down on what we were told to do, not by each country or state, the whole world had to literally sanitize themselves, cleanse themselves, detox themselves. Is because what's coming up next is really the new earth. Earth had the time to kind of breathe. Earth had the time, and our surrounding had to really, right, level up with this thing called 5G. And so when you think about it, humans really are the ones, the only species on Earth that wants to destroy Earth. You think about it. Does the animal kingdom wants to do with it? No. Does the ants or the bees or the flowers and the trees? That's why we used to have that rhyme, you know? And so it's really us humans. It has nothing to do with color, race, religion. Us human beings here on this earth really destroyed it, took advantage of it. Lots of greed, lots of manipulation, lots of control, lots of all these things that it's happening around us. Whereas when we look back to our ancestors and what they went through, you know, and how they survived and what they ate and how it's literally from the grains. You know, earth was the commodity of life. You know, it's not stock markets and bitcoins and currency, which is literally made out of paper, or all of these things that's transferring through the air. And this is what technology has brought us up to. And so we're at a very unique position in our life where we understand how the old ways was done. And we also have archives of history. And sometimes we say history repeats itself. History will not repeat itself in some way, in some form, because we're creating new history. And so history and creating new history is where we are at. We're really on this fork of the road where I keep on saying organically or inorganically, because they're both going to be coming together, supplying our life, our lifestyle. And so we need to really make that choice for the next 20 years, because did we think this was going to happen 20 years ago? I was just a new homeowner, you know, getting the biggest, there was no such thing as Costco, you know, getting the biggest box and using that as my table to eat, having a little TV. I don't even watch TV, you know, so that didn't really matter to me. And so this is a time that we really need to start, because guess what? Our hands are clean now. It's a fresh start, people. And the more we think outwards on what's going on, right? This is the outward things of, you know, COVID and politics. I don't even know what's going on with politics. I know there's a whole bunch of people that start to travel. And that's an interesting thing too, in how the Easterners and the Westerners' way of thinking about traveling. You know, I was just talking to my associates and friends out in Japan, and it's funny because they really love Hawaii. They want to come to Hawaii, but as part of their culture and their respect to one another, they don't travel. I think there's only one plane coming in from Japan each day, and that flight is really not that full. So if Hawaii way of thinking that, hey, we're opening and all the Japanese tourists is coming, wrongo. Learn about each other's culture and the way they think. Because to them, you know, is disrespectful. And a lot of ways that the Easterners and the Westerners think is both good, because we both, most of us has merged into a lot of Western ways of life. And so now is really, this is where our culture, our DNA, and everything on how we were brought up will kind of set the tone, the identity of how we're going to go forward. I know it may or may not make sense. That's why I have workshops, because I can talk on forever. And I've been very, very fortunate to learn from and literally stay there. I mean, I remember I was just thinking back, because it was really weird. I went to the bank and they told me, oh, this bank account? And I'm like, huh? And it was a bank account that I literally opened in 2000. And unfortunately, those people that's on, that I helped open that bank account with, and I totally forgot about it because it's not my money, and I respect, and that's what it's called: respect, loyalty, and know your boundary. And unfortunately, 3 people in that part of that life that I was in all passed away. And so, life in that 20 years is so short. Something so, like last week when I went to the bank and they told me that, I was like, huh? What are you talking about? And then they told me the account and you are one of the, and I was like, wow. I didn't even care to know how much money was in there. I don't care to know anything because they trusted me. They knew that I have loyalty to them, and they knew that I'm not going to take anything from them. And so those are things that you unknowingly create. This love, trust, and loyalty bond. Whether they're friends from afar or near, and that is very dear to you. And so that's why, maybe it's just me, but the older I become, the more smaller really your circle becomes. And I've seen this with so many, my senior, my older, my elderlies. And I remember this one person who told me, and I said, wow, you have so many friends. Because this person always tell me how many friends and how many calls. I mean, it's like endless they get. And I said, at the end of the day, what happens? And he said, I literally only have a handful of really true friends who really knows me. And so that's the thing I'm saying, is that when we start this new intention, is to bring in really that part of you. It's not only, this is including, when you say relationship, it's including the whole spectrum, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, whether it's your co-workers, whether it's your clients, whether it's relationship in general. It's because, it's the energy that you surround yourself, it's so important. And so because this is really like April, May, back to back, you have April 11th, May 11th, 1-1. And so when you have that repetition of numbers of coming back to back, it's like you have this strong energy force helping you bring that into you. And so energy is exactly like air. Can you see air? No. But we can if we really focus to see. Because our air is really our energy that we bring into our body to give us life. And so if you're in a toxic surrounding, what kind of air are you bringing yourself into? Think about, and that's why maybe they gave you that 6 feet. 6 feet. 6 feet, and you can see that. And that's another exercise and workshop, because I learned through last year, through Corona, on what kind of guidelines. They gave us guidelines, right? They gave us guidelines to make us think twice about our surroundings, right? Because that's part of what we were doing our exercise, is those 3 things that we need to start creating. You know, your surroundings, your boundaries. You know, how much are you gonna let people or government or this or that tells you what to do? You know, there's a lot of times when when you have herd immunity, like a herd of friends or group of friends or group of family or group of whatever, when you're in this pod, guess what? This pod is erecting one another's energy to think a certain way, to act a certain way. Even though deep inside you're thinking, huh? Usually when that happens, what happens? You need to release and let go. Walk away, back away, go to the bathroom, get your own breath, and get centered. And so these things I'm going to go over in my next new moon workshop, which is Okage-sama Day, thank you so much, is sold out. But I'm going to go more deep into it, but I want to kind of combine what we need to really focus over the weekend is to start, when you start your intention, just don't write, I want to get a lot of money. Everybody needs money. Don't write anything about money. I always say that because money is already a given, a granted. We need it. We don't need to write it, okay? Because that energy can be obstructed in many different ways. How we say it and take ownership on how we say it and write it will make a huge difference in your intentions. Last month, I wrote my intention, but OMG, it's coming and I'm paying for it. I mean, I got things coming in from left to right, back to back. And I've been so busy because I'm getting ready to do the next one. So my map is creating already. And so take this weekend and start really focusing. And I'm going to giving little tips and bits on my YouTube and helping you and guiding you, because that's what my purpose is because I was able to be blessed and get these knowledge, these wisdom, which is literally now my highest commodity to attain in life, because I was very blessed to learn the Eastern and the Western culture and the Hawaii culture, the Aloha spirit. And so this is like a triple force of 3 different ways, culture, and alignment that creates me. And so wherever you are and whatever you do, that's the other 3rd wheel of what we can all learn to embrace and start writing our good intentions. So you take care. I have to go, and have a wonderful weekend. Aloha.